Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Women's Fittest. I'm so excited to be back after, oh gosh, probably a 5 or 6 week hiatus from the summer. And my first interview back is with IFBB Pro Sabah Syed. And I'm so excited to have you on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I'm super excited to be on the show with you in the podcast. You know, this has been long overdue. We've been trying to do this, and it just kept getting put off, and I'm just glad to do this finally.
Yeah, me too. I was looking forward to it, and I was I was like, I don't know how long this break is going to go that I had been taking, and I feel like when you messaged me, it was totally a sign to get back into it. So here we are. So one of the main things that drew me to you, not just your incredible physique, but
Thank you.
but yeah, no, you look amazing. And we're going to talk about your history and what's going on and where you're headed as far as your competing goes this year. But so you are, and you have it in your bio on Instagram, that you are the first female Pakistani IFBB pro, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and that's amazing because it's really hard for me to judge via social media. I feel like there's a lot of fans, but there's also a lot of controversy with that country and being involved with this sport, especially being a female. And so I definitely want to talk about that, but let's get a little bit of a background. My first question is usually about your childhood and athleticism and what kind of sports were you playing? And you might even want to talk about, coming to, or I think you said you were born in America. So go ahead and just take
So I was born and raised in Queens, New York, but like my parents, they were immigrants from Pakistan. And like, even though I was born here, like Urdu was my first language. I didn't learn how to speak English till like I was later on in, when I went to like kindergarten, first grade. I was actually an ESL student too, and I was very cultured. Like, so I was raised in a very strict Muslim household, where, like I said, I wasn't allowed to wear specific clothes. I wasn't allowed to even wear a bathing suit. I had like a curfew. Like, it was straight from home school. So it was, because my parents were so strict and I came from such a strict background, I was not really allowed to go after school to do any sports, because all the sports were like all after school. I was mainly like a book nerd, so I'm also a former research scientist. So I was always into like math and science and just books and reading. So I wasn't very athletic growing up.
Okay. Yeah. That's crazy. Okay, so you built this physique from scratch. Like, you don't even have I ask people that a lot because I feel like this epigenetic background tends to come into play. Sid Gillian was a track star, and a lot of the women in the sport have track, soccer, volleyball type background.
Especially like figure division, like the legs. Those legs are built at a younger age. So I'm not sure, because the legs are my strongest muscle group. I'm really not sure where the legs came from, because I was always like overweight and just liked eating food. I never played any sports, didn't do anything.
Yeah. So when did you start getting into lifting then, and what introduced you to the sport?
So basically, I was in my early 20s. I was like 23, 24, and I went through like a really bad divorce. Like, I was married. I got married at a very young age. It was like an impulse rebel move, because, like I said, I was raised in such a strict household. Like, the first thing that I found, I was like, I'm out. I'm using this to get out, And I knew he wasn't the right guy for me. He was older. But like I said, it was kind of like my escape. And then it ended up not working out, obviously. And then after the breakup, like, I just kind of threw myself into fitness. I'm like, I'm going to work on a better version of me. What makes me happy? And obviously, when I looked in the mirror, like, I had this ideal image. And this is interesting, but her name is Gail Yates. She's actually Dorian Yates' wife, right? I saw a picture of her and I was like, oh my God, she's gold. Like, if I can look like that one day, like I would be like, oh my God, like she like really inspired me. And then I started working out. I first started doing cardio, the cardio bunny, because I was too intimidated to like go to the weight room. I would get scared. And then I saw this female. She wasn't a competitor. She was just like a regular girl that was like really in good shape. Her name was Denisha. I'll never forget her. I admired her because she was the only woman in that weight room throwing up weights, outlifting all the guys. And I became really good friends with her, and she actually took me under her wing. She started training me, like showing me like the basics. And then once I started working out, my body just started morphing, right? Then I bumped into my friend Gina Castro, who was she's also an earth science teacher like me. We met at like a central grading site, and she was actually in prep for the Metropolitans. It's a bodybuilding show, and she came in, and what caught my eye was that she was pretty, she was feminine and muscular, which and she was a women's physique competitor. So I was like, oh my God, like you're beautiful, And then she saw me, and I showed her my pictures, and she's like, you have a lot of potential. I'll introduce you to my coach, and maybe you should compete. So then she introduced me to her coach. He wasn't really a coach. He was just like a trainer. And then, I started working out and just following like a diet plan. I did my first show, the Brooklyn Grand Prix, and I ended up winning first place. And then I just fell in love with it.
What year was that?
That was 2015.
Okay. Can we get a couple of stats? How old are you now? And
I'm 34.
In your height and weight, and where are you as far as like are you in your off season? You're starting at prep, right?
I'm actually 4 weeks out from the Tampa Pro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right now, like my off season weight, I'm 5'4" and like half, and my off season I go up to like 150.
Okay.
150 lbs, and right now 132.
Okay. Very cool.
I'm like right there, almost at my stage weight.
Okay.
You see my face is sucked in.
You can see your jaw a little bit, but you don't look so like, as some people have a gift, they don't look like death when they get down to the finish line, and you still look pretty. So
thank you. I think a lot of it is genetics, and then other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I can appreciate that. So you did your first show. What did you compete in figure or?
No. So I actually started off in bikini.
Okay. How much did you weigh for that first show? Do you remember?
104 pounds.
104.
Yeah. It's so skinny.
Insane. Are there pictures of that on your Instagram?
Oh yeah, if you scroll all the way down, like the beginning of my Instagram, you could see like when I won the Brooklyn show, I had the little trophies and my little shoulders. Yeah.
104. So, I'm curious, you said you went into the gym because you were trying to, so you were a big eater. Were you kind of overweight when you first started?
Yeah, I was definitely overweight. So in my Instagram, I have a picture of me wearing like a blue dress, and you could see like, it's funny because my weight was in that high. Like in my off season now, I go up to the same weight, like around 150, but it was just a body composition change.
Totally.
I was like probably 35% body fat.
Yeah, I know. I was right around probably around 140 when I was in high school, which I felt really fat and chubby because this was the 90s and girls weren't supposed to be big like that. So yeah. And so, but now I weigh still around 140, but it's a completely different company.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I'm curious too about, so when you decided to go into training, go into the gym, were you like, because I feel like this happens with a lot of women, they're like looking to find a way to feel stronger because something has sort of like destroyed them. Like you said, you had a marriage that were getting out of. Was that kind of what you were looking for? Like a way to feel stronger and feel good about yourself?
Yeah. I mean, another thing was that my ex-husband put me down. Like he physically said that, you need you should get ass implants, like, and he would constantly like put me down physically too. So like he killed kind of like my self-esteem, and that made me like, I had very, very low self-esteem when I started. So then that kind of like also like I wanted to like be better, but the bad part about that was I was chasing like this physical goal,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize that it's more to than just looking a certain way. It's more so training your mind to be stronger, not your physical. So in the process, I learned as I was getting physically stronger, it was also making me mentally stronger. It was like a growth, overall growth.
Yeah. I
Just
think
getting away from that negative, toxic person. He was dragging me down, like both like emotionally and physically. So as I grew, as I detached from that negative person, I just grew mentally, spiritually, in every form. You know?
I think a lot of women don't realize that the change that they're looking for physically is going to have to come from the inside. And a lot of what is inside drives that outward physical change. It's those behaviors and that mindset. But that happiness that you're looking for in a physique will not, it won't mean anything to you if you can't choose to be happy with yourself right now.
Exactly. And another thing that a lot of females have issues with, they'll have the most perfect bodies. They'll still be insecure. Like, why do you have to Photoshop, make your waist look smaller when your waist is already so small? Like, so like you said, just because they're just constantly seeking perfection. And I was actually reading an article today. It was in, I think it's called The Face. And they were saying how society has just gotten destroyed with all the filters and the photoshopping, and like, we were constantly looking at beautiful faces, and they were constantly comparing our face to these beautiful faces, like this ideal look. And it makes us question, like, do I look good? Like, am I good enough? So like you said, this external beauty that we have, whatever, it's only gonna last till we're old. Eventually you're gonna get old and go. So what needs to grow is your mindset, your mental.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because the older I get and the more, you start seeing the wrinkles and everything. And there's a lot of stuff people can do. And I think it's totally fine that they want to try to slow down that aging process, to each their own. But you have to imagine that someday you're just going to be this very old, like the looks aren't going to matter. And if your personality isn't, you don't have a great personality, you will not have, a lot to contribute. You're not going to have friends. Like,
yeah. And you know what the funny part is? Like, even being in the fitness industry, I noticed there's a lot of narcissism.
Yeah.
Like I said, like, people are constantly chasing this look, but their personalities are just, they don't match their external, like, physical, you know what I mean? So it's like, what good is your body if your personality sucks? You're a narcissist.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's tough. It's a very tough balance because, I mean, bodybuilding is by definition trying to get better all the time. So being surrounded by that and type of environment, but being able to say, you know what, I'm also going to be satisfied with what I have as far as, what I physically look like and what I'm contributing to society and the type of person I am on a regular basis. Like, that's hard. It's a fighting message. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it is, because you're also being like, you're like you said, you're chasing perfection when perfection doesn't exist. But at the same time, like, all right, is that going to make you feel fulfilled at the end of the day? You're never going to be fulfilled. So now you're chasing this empty vessel of where is that going to lead you? And a lot of people end up getting like consumed by it, and it destroys them.
Yeah. Oh, do you hear that echo?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine now.
I don't know if it's recording that way. I don't know why. It's never done that before, but I do think that you have to switch to being satisfied with the changes that are happening from the behavior change. Like, that's where the focus should be. Am I getting better at what I'm doing in order to get to where my goals are? And the focus should be on the behaviors and that type of thing, rather than the outcome goals, Yeah. So you did your first show in 2015 in bikini. You won.
Yeah. And it was like, wow, like, it was like my hard work. Like, the trophy is like the icing on the cake, but it was really like what I learned through the prep, like the discipline, you know, the challenges that I faced, and like that desire to seek that goal, like, you know, the motivation. It was just like an amazing experience overall.
Did
You know?
your
So I felt
did your ex-husband was he connected with you at all? Did he see any of this
no,
change?
no, me and him were like done. We were broken up for like 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you probably don't even think about it, like, you know, that you have something to prove, you're like moving on.
Oh, you know what it is? I did it for me. You have
Yeah.
to do it for yourself. I don't have anything to prove to him.
Yeah.
You know, he's no longer in my life. Why do I have to prove anything to you? You're irrelevant.
So at this time, what were you doing for work?
The whole time I was a full-time high school earth science teacher.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Have you been at the same place since like all these years?
So I've been so I was in Queens, then I moved to Edgewater, New Jersey, and for like 3 years, and then I came back to now I'm in Long Island City for the past 4 years. But also started what helped me, what now I enjoy doing is like as I became as I turned pro, I also started learn nutrition, and I'm also a nutritionist now, and now I have like female clients that I want to share my journey with and my experience with, and I want to teach them. So I have a lot of like younger girls. I have clients of all ages, in their 20s, 30s, 50s, and it's just so like what keeps me motivated to compete, you know, and keep this lifestyle too is like how many women I've inspired and how many girls that women look up to me, you know. And I just wanna, now I'm at a point where like I'm kind of pulling back on the competing. Like I still enjoy competing. Like I do like 1 or 2 shows max, but it's also more so for me to learn and grow more mentally so I can share my knowledge with my clients and really spread, you know, like the healthy femininity and just embrace that.
Yeah. I think that's so important because you can't bodybuild competitively your whole life. So to glean something from it that you're going to be able to help people with. I mean, it's similar to, you know, I competed for a very short period of time, almost competed again in 2017. That didn't work out. And then really was like, how am I going to stay involved in the sport? My passion is really getting women healthy, and you know, a lot of them want to compete but they don't have that health base or that lifestyle. So what is it that you've noticed with the women that you're working with? Because I just feel like there's just a huge trend of naivety as far as nutrition and exercise goes with women. We've just been fed so many so many things that have not worked out for us. Every decade has a new trend or whatever. So what are you noticing when you are talking with women? What are they struggling with?
So a lot of the women, so like I said, I have lifestyle and I have competitive clients. With the competitive clients, it all boils down to how bad they want it, you know? So like I have this one client, her name is Alexandra Schnabel, right? She's the hardest working girl that I know. She's in her early 20s. She also came to me, you know, she was unhappy. So like I resonated with her because she was overweight. She was unhappy with how she looked. And, you know, her transformation has been insane. She's been with me for 2 years now. And she's just what makes her so successful is that she trusts me, and we have like we have like a connection, like the coach and client relationship where it's open, transparent, and she just executes, and she just wants it. Like she's just hungry. So it all boils down to like how bad do you want it? You know, you could guide someone, but you can't really force them. And it all boils down to like what kind of relationship you have with your clients, because you're gonna have a lot of clients that, well, my clients for the most part are great. They respect me. And like I said, because I'm a competitor, I'm an IFBB pro, and I started from nothing. I wasn't an athlete. You know, I started from the bottom and I came all the way up here. I basically defied odds, especially being a woman from the Middle East. You know, I've basically proved everyone wrong. So like people that said you wouldn't do it, you wouldn't make it, and this, that, blah, blah, blah. So that is something that I like to share with women that think it's impossible. Oh, I don't have the genetics, or I don't have this. The main thing that I try to communicate them with that is if you want it, you can do it. It's all boils down to how bad you want it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Someone's best self is only like they're their only barrier. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. And that
You're
effort.
your own enemy, your own barrier. Like if you remove all those doubts, those fears, you know, you can accomplish anything you put your mind to. You really can. The human mind is so powerful. It's more powerful than your body. Like the body is just a flesh. It's an outer shell. The mind is what controls and determines how far you take that physique.
Yeah. That's incredible. I think a lot of people don't understand that their effort and it's making choices on a regular basis that are going to get them towards their goals. And you have opportunities all day long to make good food choices, to make time for the gym, to go to bed on time, to avoid, that alcohol or whatever is tempting you that day. You say no. And people choose easy every day, and it's about putting effort into what's going to challenge you, and that will change you. So yeah, it's interesting when, I don't know if you get this, but when I get a client intake form, sometimes I'm just blown away by the things that they're doing. It's like the information that has been previously set for women.
I think it's a lot of the fact is because the lack of education, really. You have a lot of people that are in here just to make a quick buck. They don't care about a person's well-being and health. And they're like, they just see dollar signs. Oh, opportunity to make money. But like legitimately, if you do this, you want to help people, you're passionate about it, do the research, be educated, learn, be knowledgeable. And I've been doing this. I didn't start like working as a nutritionist till I was doing this for already like 5 years. I learned, I took the time out and I learned and I studied and, obviously I had the background because I'm a research scientist too. So I had already taken a lot of core classes in college. So I had the base, the understanding to understand the science behind nutrition and exercise. So I was able to really learn fast and soak it up, where a lot of people they just don't understand the basics. And then they're here like pushing out diet plans, and you're just looking at these diet plans and I'm like, what? Yeah. 3 hours of cardio, like I've seen it all.
Yeah, 3 hours of cardio. Many of the women I know are like, they're like, well, I can't eat carbs, and you're just like, what? Like, it's terrible. One of my favorite people to follow on Instagram is he just goes by Dr. Ids, and he is constantly debunking all these, just the baseline nutrition myths that people are always like, oh, this is bad for you, this is good for you. Yep. And
like, isn't fruit good for me? Like, no, it's full of sugar. Oh, why can't I eat fruit? Like, yeah, like it's terrible for you. Fruit is full of sugar. Like, oh, I can't get a 6-pack, or like, the goals have to be. So one of the questions I asked in my like intake form is like, what are your short-term and long-term goals, and how important is this goal for you? And like, your goals need to be smart, right? They have to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time specific. Yeah. When do you want to obtain this goal? By how long? Like, so your goals have to be measurable. They have to be realistic. You can't say like, oh, I never competed before, but next year I want to go to the Olympia. It doesn't work like that. Right. You understand? So I try to preach that and to my clients. And if I do get a client we're not on the same page, then we can't work together. I just don't want your dollar sign. I want to make sure I help you.
Yeah, I know. And it's a slow process too, because and once you hire a coach, I feel like you're on the plan. So there's no deviating from the plan unless like something was discussed, or there's some specific reason why, that's major, why you couldn't make whatever that day work. So yeah, I saw a post on Instagram that said like the first month of your program should not be about trying to lose weight or trying to gain muscle, but making sure that you've established all the healthy habits that are going to get you there. So yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer in going to sleep on time, getting all your water in. You know, when you do those
Learn
behaviors.
how to walk before you run, or crawl before you run. Walks, like you can't just. It also depends on the person. Now, if you get a client that's an advanced athlete, then you can take them. You know what I mean? So it all depends on the type of client it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very individual for sure. So let's get back to a little bit about your competing. So we left you at winning your first show in bikini, 2015. And so what you were hooked, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And that year I did like 3 or 4 local shows, and then I won like overalls, like overall champ. Then I went to nationals, which was the North Americans in 2017. No, 2016. I'm sorry, 2016, and I took top 5 out of like gazillion girls. The stage was gonna fall off, but what I noticed was like I just kept on growing. Like my body is built for figure. Yeah. I have like very broad shoulders, and then I had very big legs. So like when I was on the lineup, it was like I was towering, even though I was small. So I started off at 104 pounds, and in like 6 months I went up to 112 pounds, 113 pounds. So I kept on growing, and it got to the point where I couldn't even like train legs anymore. I would have to starve if I stayed in bikini. Like I would have to really starve. I couldn't eat food. And so my boyfriend at the time, he was like, you need to switch to figure. Yeah. You don't belong in bikini. So he really encouraged me, and he was like, you know what? You're going to do this show. You're going to do the Atlantic States. We literally sat down after the North Americans, and it was September, and he was like, you're going to do the Atlantic States, which was in June. And it's like the biggest regional show in New York area. And he's like, and you're going to do this show. And I'm like, wow, I can't do that. It's such a big show. My first figure show. He's like, if you want to do it, that's what's going to motivate you. Then fast forward 10 months later, I switched over to figure, and then I won novice and open overall at my first show ever in figure. So then, I was like, all right, I guess I just got to keep going. And then 2 years later, I won the overall at the 2019 North American Championships.
Wow. So that was in 2018.
2019, I turned pro.
2019. Oh, you turned, okay. So
2017, I won my first overall in figure, like a local show. And then it took me 2 years because I had to put on more tissue. I took my time. Yeah. Then 2 years later, I won the overall at the North American Championships, and I turned pro.
Okay. So somewhere along the line, are you married again?
No, I'm single.
Okay. But you have a boyfriend?
No boyfriend.
Oh, but was this a boyfriend?
So that me and him broke up. We're no longer together anymore. Right now, I'm currently single.
But he did help you get to where you think he helped you?
I mean, he was the reason why I switched from bikini to figure, because he was like really like, you have to switch.
Yeah.
And I had my former coach. He was the one who got me from bikini. He's the one who got me to turn pro. Okay. But I'm no longer working with him. I'm currently working with Johnny Casalina. He's my coach.
Nice. Yeah. Is that who worked with Shanique?
Nicole. Yeah. He preps Nicole Zenobia too.
Yes.
He preps Shanique Grant. Yep. So he's currently prepping me for the Tampa Pro.
Nice. So let's talk about this culture thing a little bit, and how that was for you, and even now, what kind of feedback are you getting? So tell me a little bit about this.
So like a lot of times, even like I post pictures of me and my body or whatever, like it's not usually like the females. The females, like they send me very positive messages. Like they're very empowered, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe like, sister, like you're doing this. And I have a lot of males too, like from Pakistan reaching out to me like positive. Then I have a few times I've gotten like death threats, or like you're an abomination, how could you do this being a Muslim woman, and you're this, that, blah, 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 like negative comments too, like people messaging me. So I've gotten like a mixture of everything, positive and negative too. But I just focus on the positive, you know what I mean?
What do your parents think about this? Your family?
Oh, my parents were very strict growing up. But as I got older and they saw how successful I was, because the reason why they were really strict was because they were scared. They're like, oh, you know, what if she gets pregnant, or like she has a boyfriend and she runs away and she doesn't go to college. They were very controlling. But the fact that they were controlling actually helped me, because it helped me stay in school. It helped me get my degree. So like it helped me like be very, very focused in my career and stuff, you know, and be established at a very young age. Like I became a teacher at 21. I was teaching full time. So that helped me in that retrospect. So, but now that they see that I'm like independent, successful, I make my own money, I don't need a man for anything, literally. So they're very proud of me, and they're like, you know what, you can do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. So they're supportive.
That's amazing.
They're proud of me, yeah.
Yeah, that's so great. You proved yourself. And
yes, that's what it was. It was just a matter of me. I had to really prove myself, because the culture, it was just so taboo. But then I basically defied the norms, and I was like, look, I can do this and be successful. I'm not just a girl posting my ass on Instagram. Like, I have a career. I'm educated. I have 2 master's degrees, a master's in ed psych and master's in geology, you know, and I was a former research scientist. I'm currently a full-time teacher, tenured. So like I said, I'm successful in all, and now I'm a nutritionist, you know, I'm venturing out, and I'm opening up my own company soon too. Because I'm compiling all my clients, and then I'm going to open up my own business. Yeah, so everything is in the works, and you know, like I said, I'm still prepping. I'm still passionate about competing.
yeah.
So
You're 32 now, is that what you said?
I'm 34 currently.
34. Okay, that's amazing. So your goal still to get to the Olympia?
Yes, that's my dream.
Yeah.
And I know I had a few this for the past couple of years. I had, you know, I did 3 pro shows, and I had some bad distractions, which, you know, I got rid of them this year. Like now I have time to really focus on me and myself, that I got rid of, like, you know, toxic, negative people that were like kind of holding me back. And that's basically what was, because I know from the beginning I believed in myself, and I knew, like, just genetically I have the work ethic, because someone who doesn't even have an athletic bone in their body to transform like that, the genetics plays a role.
Yeah.
So I had the genetics. It's just that I didn't know the genetics were there until I actually started working out. And the minute I started working out, they came out. And I know I have the work ethic and the drive that it takes. That's the most important thing, because you can outwork genetics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, that's what matters the most. So the main thing is that I have the work ethic, the discipline, the self-belief that I'm going to make it one day to the Olympia. That's my goal, and I'm going to do it.
Yeah. It's so true, because I mean, a lot of times too, if somebody has a gift, they often will ride that. Whereas somebody who doesn't quite have the same gift is going to work harder to try to beat that person. So yeah, it sounds like your parents should be proud just for instilling that work ethic. And
that's why I love my parents. I'm not going to lie. I hated them growing up, but now that I look back, I love them, because everything that I am is because of my parents. They instilled that hard work, like independent, the discipline that I have, you know, that was embedded in me since I was a little kid.
Yeah. Let me ask you something about teaching. So what grade do you your high school?
I teach high school, so I teach 9 through 12.
Do you have an opinion about kids these days? So I'll say this. I feel like I also grew up in a very strict Christian home, grew up on a farm. I feel like a lot of that work ethic and everything was instilled in me as well. Yeah. Do you think kids this day have it a lot easier?
Yes, 100%. So like, as society gets more modernized and we're moving away from, like you said, agriculture and farming, and, you know, becoming more industrial and urbanized, and it's just that everything is just the tip of your fingertips. You know, you don't even have to go to the grocery store. Instacart, Uber Eats. Like, these kids are just, they're spoiled. You know, they don't know what it's like to get up and like go out and work, and like they're just, everything is entitlement. You know, like they're just entitled to everything, and the work ethic is not what it used to be. Definitely not. I mean, it depends too. I noticed that a lot of the students that come from like an immigrant background, that their parents are immigrants and they came from like a dirt poor country or they didn't have anything, they're like way more harder working than like the kids that were like born and raised here, you know?
Yeah.
So
This is a totally personal question, but do you think you ever will have children, or do you want to? Because I feel like
I want to have kids, but all my students say, they're like, Miss, you need to have kids. Like, you would be such a great mom. And like the one student told me, she's like, why do the wrong people reproduce? And the people that should be reproducing are not, like you. And I'm like, well, I need a guy to reproduce. So if you could find me the perfect guy that I can marry, and then, because I'm also very old school, like if I'm gonna have kids, it has to be with, I have to get married and it has to be with my husband. I'm not just gonna have kids with anybody. So I just haven't found the right person, you know, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know,
but
like I said, I'm working on me, and then the right person will come along. I do want to have kids.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. You know, people who are looking to try to find somebody to fill a void, it's like, no, you just work on yourself. And yeah, I 100% agree with that. The right person will come to you if it's supposed to happen.
Yeah. What about you? Are you married with kids?
I'm not married anymore. So yeah, I got married in 2001. We were married for almost 10 years, and I had my daughter. We struggled to get pregnant, so that was like a 3.5 year. By the time I had her, I just realized, I mean, I got married when I was 24, and again, with what you had said, I could totally relate. I had only been in sort of I feel like my strict background kind of beat me down a little bit. And so I didn't have the highest self-esteem. And so I didn't make great choices when I was dating and looking for. So when I got married, it wasn't a very healthy relationship. And I recognized that. So, and then it took like 5 years past the divorce for me to find that strength and build up that confidence and everything else. And bodybuilding played a part in that as well. So
like when I see red flags, I'm out. Peace out.
Yeah.
So like I had relationships after my ex-husband. I was with the boyfriend that you know, obviously told me to do figure, but it only lasted a year because the narcissism, you know, he was a narcissist. And then I met another narcissist after that, and it was just like, all right, I'm done. Like now I'm done with. I'm not saying that all the guys in the bodybuilding community are narcissists, but like, it's just like 2 in a row already. I think I'm done for now. I need a break. So I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm focused on me, and that's it. And you know what it is too? Being in a relationship, it was preventing me from seeking my potential. Like in terms of competing, it was holding me back. Like last year, I came to a point where I almost quit competing. I almost gave up on my dream. Because of the toxic relationship that I was in. It was dragging me down. It was making me feel like I wasn't good enough and no, I shouldn't compete. And it was just like, it was consuming me. It was a very toxic relationship, and I'm just glad it's over. And like now I can just focus on my prep and do me.
Well, I think like even a good relationship is going to make you compromise in some way.
Yeah.
You know, and I know as a single mom, I had just decided, I tried to date one more time in 2016. I dated a guy for like 6 months, and I just was like, no, this isn't what I want. It's not going to happen. And I just was like, I'm not going to put my energy towards this because it distracts from my parenting. And you know, I'm like, I only have this much time left with my daughter, and bringing a man into the relationship at that point was not going to benefit anybody. I don't think so. Yeah. But I mean, everything is a learning process, and you have to make some mistakes and have some, I don't know if they're even mistakes, but you have to have some experiences to know. But I'm sure you are very aware of red flags now. I am.
Yeah. So like I have, and the older you get, like you learn from every experience, you know? So now like, and even with my past, the relationship that I just got out of, there were a lot of red flags in the beginning that this person was going to be unfaithful, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt. And, you know, long story short, fast forward a few years later, and he did the same thing that he did to me, to his ex-fiance. So it's like a pattern with him, and he's just going to keep doing it. you know, and I should have followed, but now I know moving forward, like when you see that red flag, run for the hills.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that this, again, back with the society, it does make dating more difficult. Social media makes everything like the grass is greener somewhere
Girls
else.
too, yes, because the girls are DMing you. Girls are worse than guys. Some of the girls,
Yes.
you know, sliding into DMs or leaving comments and like flirting and like posting raunchy pictures. Like it's terrible. Like even if a guy wants to be faithful, there's so much, or a girl, I'm not saying all guys are faithful. There's girls and guys, like both, it goes both ways. It's hard because there's so much temptation and like it's just everywhere. Naked people everywhere. You know, so it's like you have to be very strong mentally, like to be faithful.
Yeah.
You know, like you said with the social media, it's just so easy. Or swipe left, swipe right.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
And I think this goes back to creating your character, because, you know, you're never going to be the most beautiful person. Somebody is always going to be more physically attractive than you. But if you have a terrific personality or you're driven, you know, that's a lot more to bring to the table than just a nice ass, you know?
But see, men think different than women. That's another problem. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
at the time, they don't think about the beautiful personality. It hits them later on when that beautiful personality is gone.
Right. Right. Yeah. Cause I mean, think of all the guys that put up with these, you know, girls who are very difficult narcissists because they are attractive. But these are also the girls that are really fighting this aging process once they hit their 40s, where they're like, oh my gosh, this is all I have to offer. I need, you know.
But if you have that personality, like you said, you have the work ethic, you know, the looks doesn't matter. And you just embrace the wrinkles and the gray hair and whatever, the dents on your face.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But it's funny. I do think about that a lot. Like when I meet people, I'm just like, you get so blinded by social media. Sometimes you're like, oh, skin has texture and like people have scars on their face and there's flaws, and you get so used to looking at these beautiful faces online, you forget that sometimes, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly what the article that I was reading, it was crazy, you know. Like, it's literally changing the human psychology, the human mind on how we perceive beauty and how we just perceive ourselves in the mirror.
And these younger kids are online 8 hours a day. It's craziness.
They're zombies. My students, they're zombies. They're like this.
Yeah.
They can't process anything that you're saying. Their attention span is like 5 seconds.
And it's so funny how parents are like, they're giving their kids like a phone or an extra phone, like a toddler, for them to look at while they're sitting somewhere. It's like, I saw this guy, he was walking out of the grocery store. There was like probably a 3 or 4-year-old sitting in the cart. She's holding a phone, shielding her eyes because the sun is shining. She's trying to look at the phone. He's pushing the cart, looking at his phone. So they're not even looking. I'm just like, what?
Or how about this? Like you go out to eat with a guy and he's on his phone the whole time. You're both just on your phone. Like how many couples I see at a restaurant, I'm like, they're not even interacting. They're just on their phones.
Yeah. Or groups, everybody's got their phone out. If you look at the table. Yeah. After lockdown, that was one of my goals. I was like, I definitely need to get out more with friends and stuff and just do more face-to-face, because it's so precious. And it's like kids today, I feel like, don't even know how to make eye contact or converse with somebody face-to-face anymore. They're like awkward.
No social skills.
Yes, no social skills. Yeah, it'll be interesting where we go with this, you know, with everything in society. But you as a teacher are definitely, I always say this, I always say you're doing the Lord's work, because it's crazy.
I mean, yeah, I'm very strict with the phones. I don't allow the students to use phones in the classroom.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So it sounds like they respect the crap out of you, though.
They admire, you know what it is? Yeah, they don't necessarily fear me, they just respect me, you know. Some of them fear the muscles. Oh, you're gonna body slam me if I don't listen to you. Oh, you're gonna throw me out the window.
You're like,
I guess
whatever works.
whatever works. If you think I'm gonna body slam you and you're not moving, then go ahead. Yeah. Write a book.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So 4 weeks out, you feeling pretty good?
Yes, I'm excited. This is the best I've ever looked. It's my first time working with Johnny, and he's doing an amazing job so far. Like, I love the way my body is just. This has been like the easiest, the smoothest prep. Like, in terms of how well my body's responding. Like, he has my body down to like the T. And it's crazy because I started working with him in March, and he just has my body just right. Like, I'm progressing on a weekly basis. Like, now I'm changing, my body's changing like on a daily basis almost. Like, every day I notice a difference. And I'm not suffering. I'm not like ready to eat my arm out. Like, my energy is great. I feel amazing. Like, my strength is awesome. Yeah, overall I'm not doing 3 hours of cardio. So it's awesome. It's been a great prep.
That's awesome. Very cool.
You don't really hear about that because especially at the top, like pro level and stuff, you hear some extreme stuff going on. Yeah. So I was very like, I'm excited. I'm glad that I don't have to go through any. And I told him that was one of when we first had our consultation, I told him, I'm like, I don't want to do any extreme measures to get down. So if at 4 weeks out, you feel like we're not ready, then you have to keep it transparent. And he's very transparent. He's like, I'm gonna tell you, we're not gonna do any extreme measures with you. And if I feel like you're not ready, then he's very big on that. He won't put his clients in the show unless he feels they're gonna come in at 100%.
Yeah.
Some coaches will run your body to the ground no matter what. Oh, you're getting on stage, your hair is falling out, like you're malnourished, 0 carbs, like no.
Yeah, I think that's good if you lay it out like that ahead of time. I know I've had Jamie Pinder has been on the show quite a few times now. Yeah, talking just about because I think people don't always know, like, have the guts to put these expectations out to their coaches, and then when you're in the thick of it and you're like, oh, I'm 4 weeks out and now I'm being like forced to do this, and then they don't really even have the motivation or whatever it is to say, hey, this isn't right, this isn't what I wanted, and the coach is like, you never said this, so
yeah. That's why I said, going like, even with my clients, when I first do an evaluation, like to if I'm going to work with someone, from the beginning I tell them my expectations, my nutrition philosophy, because every coach, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. I tell them what my nutrition philosophy is and how I work. And like, if I'm like, listen, if you're willing to, our philosophies mesh and match, then we'll be a success. If not, then I'm letting you know from the beginning. And what are your expectations from a coach? So that's very important that both coach and client communicate that from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very true. I mean, I've even had people who are like, they insist they want to do like intermittent fasting, or they want to do keto. And I'm like, I don't work that way. Like, I don't think it's the best option. That's not how I coach. And I'm not saying that's not right for some people, but that's not how, I don't think it's optimal, and it's not what I'm going to promote. So yeah, everybody has their rules, what they want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, what else was I going to ask you about? So, let's talk about some fun things. So, wait, first I want to ask you, what is your training split looking like?
Oh, so right now I do like, it's push, pull, legs, basically.
Yeah.
Push, pull, legs.
So what, like 3 days on, 1 day off, that type of?
I go 6 in a row, and then I rest.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm doing, but my training, like the training that he has me on, it's like, at this point, it's a conditioning game. I'm not in the gym the workouts are like short, to the point. They're very like boom, boom, boom. And then I do 5 cardio sessions a week.
Okay. Yeah. You're just trying to retain tissue at this point, not, yeah. People don't understand that all the time either, because this is not a building game. Once you get into prep, you're just trying to retain the tissue.
And the 6 days, I requested that because originally he had me on 3 days, one off, then two. So it was a 5-day program.
Yeah.
But then I told him, I'm like, I'm off in the summer. Like I need, I'm not really active like that because I'm done working. So that's when he put me on the 6-day split.
I got you. Yeah, you had more energy for it.
Very big like on what the client wants. That's why I like about him. He's not like, oh no, you have to do this because I said so. He works with the coach.
Yeah.
Which there's a lot of coaches that they're like that. They're like know-it-alls and they're like, no, you have to do this, blah, 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 but he's definitely not like that. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, anybody knows too that if somebody doesn't stick to a plan, it's not going to work anyway. So you got to make it work for the client.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's your biggest gym pet peeve?
When you say pet peeve, can you like elaborate a little bit more?
What are some things that you see going on in the gym that bother you? Like,
When someone's benching on a squat rack and using up the squat rack, it drives me nuts. Or doing upright rows and hogging up the squat rack to do upright rows or barbell curls.
Oh my gosh.
Especially when it's like, I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. I train at Planet Fitness sometimes, and there's always guys in there benching on the Smith machine because all they have is Smith machines, and then there's
squat rack. Even Smith machine I could understand, but like a full like the cage where it's for squatting. You can go bench in a regular bench. Why do you have to take up the whole squat rack? I can't squat on a bench. You can bench on a bench.
Yeah.
So it's just annoying.
That's weird. Do you think they're doing it because of the safety bars?
Yeah, because they want to go heavy. So because when you're doing it on the squat bar, like you said, it has the safety. So they're literally doing this. They're moving it an inch. Not even. Why don't you lower the weight and just do a regular full range of motion and better contraction?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it
sounds like. Your pet peeve is people lifting too heavy for the just kidding.
Lifting too heavy when it's unnecessary too. Like there's a time and place to lift heavy, but you should never sacrifice form.
No.
And you could risk it too. That's how you get injured.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very true. So what's the best and the worst thing about prep?
The best thing is obviously like, the motivation, the drive, like that excitement, like believe it or not, like I enjoy the hunger feeling, like when I'm hungry and I'm starving, like, and seeing your just body morphing and the progress, your hard work paying off. The worst part about prep, I would say, I'm trying to think. It's very antisocial. Like you can't really do much. Like, you have to really be isolated for at least the last 4 weeks, unless you're with friends that like, you can't really do anything. You just go to the gym and that's it, So that's probably the worst part about it. Like you have no social life really. And I like to have balance.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a short period of time though. I'm sure that you enjoy your off season. Do you not?
Oh yes, I definitely do. I love to eat. I love to go out and do things and yeah, definitely. I'm a foodie.
What's your favorite things like that are sort of treat like meals?
Well, I love pizza. Pizza's my favorite. But I also like there's these cookies in New York City. They're called chip cookies. Oh my God, they're just out of this world. They have like all different types of flavors. So I love cookies and pancakes and pizza.
Yeah, all the carbs.
I was gonna say sushi, but sushi's not really a cheat meal.
No, but it is. Yeah. Well, do you like I like it sometimes with the fried shrimp or like
yes, the shrimp tempura, the fried the non-healthy rolls.
Yes.
Yes, I love those with all the what's that sauce called?
Yeah, the spicy mayo sauce.
Spicy mayo, yeah, that's not healthy for you. Or eel sauce. I love eel sauce.
Then it's a cheat meal for sure. Yes. Let's see here. What else? What is your favorite body part to train?
Legs. I could train legs. I actually considered switching to wellness.
Yeah.
Because So my legs are huge and I love training lower body, and I am lower body heavy, but like this year, working with Johnny, we were able to like balance my physique out. So I'm more like, now I'm like figure, like perfect X figure. Like I'm not bottom heavy anymore. You know, my shoulders and back match my legs.
Okay. Were you doing more upper body? Well, you were doing a couple legs.
He had me doing more lower body, but it's the way he has me doing it. It's like, it's more like glute and hamstring, a lot of glute and hamstring stuff, but it's like more volume based,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
where like the upper body, it's like a mixture of volume and heavy.
Okay. What is your, so legs are your favorite. What does a leg day look like for you? Like when are you training legs next? What does that look like?
Well, I'm actually training legs on Wednesday. So I have 2 leg days. One leg day is like a quad focus day where I start off with like walking lunges to warm up, but like, you know, at a 90-degree angle, standing upright, focusing on the quad. And then I will go into some squats, you know, of course. And then after the squats, I'll go into like a leg press, then leg extensions. And then I'll finish off with touch up hamstrings and some adductors and calves. Then for like my the second time I hit legs is all glute and ham based. You know, I'll start off with sumo deadlifts or sumo squats, and then I'll go into hip thrust. Then I'll do glute and ham press, which is like inverted leg press, RDLs, lying hamstring curls. Yeah, kickbacks, glute kickbacks. But I also do a lot of touch up glute and ham workouts like pre cardio. So twice a week, before I do my fasted cardio, he has me doing like these glute and hamstring like activators. So then when I go on to when I start my cardio, like there's blood already pumping. My glutes and hamstrings are activated. So we get that like those nice tie-ins from when I hit my back pose, you know?
Nice. Do you think that so you think you'll always be lifting after not being an athlete? You think you're going to carry this into the rest of your life?
Yes, this is a lifestyle for me. And like I said, I want to continue even after I'm done competing. I want to take my nutrition business, like I want to keep growing it. And I just want to keep helping women. And like I said, there's not that many female coaches or nutritionists that like, so my main focus is to make sure like women are healthy, they're properly PCTing and they're getting their periods. You know, like a lot of girls come to me, they haven't had their period in a year, like their hormones are messed up. So I just want to help these girls and like educate these little like young girls, you know, like, what are you doing? You're too young for this. And, you know, obviously like with all the drugs and the PEDs, like there's a fine line that, you know, you don't want to cross that. Once you cross that, you lose your femininity. It's not worth it. For what? You're not going to compete forever, you know?
No, to walk out of even 10 years is a good career, walk out of a 10-year sport and then to have, like you said, lose all your femininity, maybe your ability to have children. You've really limited your options on what the rest of your life is going to look like.
Yes, it's just not worth it for a trophy or like, and you know what? People only remember you. You're only relevant until you're competing and doing well. The minute you stop competing and you're not placing, you're not relevant anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've talked to people about, you know, women that I knew when I first started following the sport in 2010 and some of the, you know, I mean, everybody knows who like Dana Lynn Bailey is, but you talk about some of the others and they're just like, oh, I don't know who that is. And I'm like, you really need to know the history of the sport. And a lot of these women were, I mean, these are the shoulders of the women you're standing on in order to get where you want to be. You need to know who blazed those trails, you know?
Of course. And even like I'm not going to say her name, but there's certain Miss Olympias. They won Olympia titles, but no one even knows who they are anymore because they don't compete anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's like, I know I had Juliana Malakarnayan, and I was just like, I had people who were like, she said at her gym she competes in New York that sometimes she's like, yeah, the younger kids don't know who I am. I'm just like,
yeah, I go to Bev's too. I train at Bev's too. You know what's funny? That's the person I was talking about.
yes.
You read my mind. Because she's a legend. Like she's a 4-time Miss Olympia. How do you not know who she is?
Yeah.
But again, she doesn't compete anymore.
Yeah, it's really, I think that's a little bit, which is again why I do try to bring in some of these past Olympians onto the podcast, because yeah, they're legends. They're freaking legends. I mean, Juliana, I don't know, she probably physique wise is my favorite ever. Just the most.
And again, she was just beautiful. She was feminine, and
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that after it all, she, went on to fulfill other things in her life. She's a mom now.
exactly.
Yeah.
She didn't cross that fine line, It's a
Yeah.
fine line that a lot of women don't realize it. They're just chasing that high to win and go to the Olympia, and then what ends up happening? Mess up your health. Now your kidneys are messed up, your liver markers are destroyed, your metabolism, your thyroid, like for what?
Yeah. Yeah. You still got hopefully, 50, 60 more years of life left that so, well, kind of on that note, what would be your final message to the women that are listening if you wanted to, take it away?
So coming from someone that like never thought they were gonna ever compete, or like I used to literally look at like and even NPC competitors, I'm like, oh my god, be intimidated. So my message to everyone, like anyone who's out there listening, is if you have a dream, if you have a goal, don't let anyone stop you. As long as you believe in yourself, you put your mind to it, you can accomplish it. All right, you can defy all odds. It doesn't matter what genetics you have, it doesn't matter what it is. If you have the work ethic, the mindset, this is the most powerful tool that you need. Work on your mind and your body will follow it.
I think that's so true. Sabah, where can people find you if they want to follow you or contact you for coaching?
So my email address is ssyed101@gmail.com, or my Instagram is Sabah Syed, which is SABAHSYED 101.
Okay, wonderful. And I will add all that to the show notes. But oh, this was so great. It was such a great start back. You're just amazing. You're just amazing. Just the epitome of a strong woman. And it's such a pleasure to be able to finally connect with you and interview you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, everybody, thanks for listening and watching to another episode of the Women's Fittest. You can find me on Instagram at buffcake22. You can follow the podcast at the Women's Fitness and Fittest, and listen wherever you listen to podcasts. I hope you have a great day, and remember that healthy looks different on everybody.
Bye.
Bye.